Scenarios. In Excel, the Scenario Manager lets you create sets of different input values to produce different calculated results. These sets of input values are called scenarios, such as best case, worst case, and most likely case. For example, you could use scenarios to produce a sales goal for your employees for next quarter. You could also use it to create a forecasted budget. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to create a set of scenarios, display scenarios in your worksheet, edit values in scenarios, determine which scenario you're viewing in your worksheet, merge scenarios, delete scenarios, and create a summary of scenarios. In our worksheet shown here, we have the sales data for each employee broken down by month, the Q1 and Q2 totals for each employee, then the total sales for each employee. In addition, we have the total sales per month for all employees in row 6. We could take the information in this spreadsheet and change it. For example, we could say, what if Smith sold 5 more in February and sold 23 instead of 18? How would that affect his total sales, as well as total sales for the company? However, doing that would have us change the value of actual data. We could use undo to change the value back after we've finished, but what if we wanted a record of our what if scenarios? We can create these records by using the Scenario Manager. You'll find the Scenario Manager by clicking on the Data tab, and then clicking on the What If Analysis button, and then clicking on Scenario Manager. The Scenario Manager is shown here. But first, we want to select all of the values that we want in our scenarios. However, we don't want to select totals because those will change as our values change. So select the first range of cells, hold down Control, and select the second range of cells here. Now we're going to open the Scenario Manager. Click on Add in the Scenario Manager. The cells we've selected appear in the Changing Cells field here. These are the cells whose data will change based on the different scenarios. Enter a name for the scenario in the Scenario Name field. We're going to name ours Actual. In the comments section, we can add comments about the scenario. We're going to put a comment in here that it contains actual sales. You should note that a scenario can't have any more than 32 changing cells. If you have more than 32 changing cells, you'll have to create different scenarios by selecting smaller groups of changing cells. Now we can see our different changing cell values. Click OK. The scenario is then saved. Now let's input different values into our changing cells. To do this, we're going to select our actual scenario and then click on Add. We're going to say that what if we expanded each employee's sales territory by 5 miles? What if that allowed them each to make 5 more sales each month? We're going to name this scenario Larger Territory. We're going to add a comment in here. Now click OK. Now we can enter the values so they reflect 5 more sales per employee per month. So I enter a value and then press Tab to move to the next cell. And I keep going till all the cells have been changed. Now click OK. The scenario is now saved. Now that scenario shows the increase in sales that we think might be likely if the territories were expanded. But we also want to see a scenario if expanding the territory led to double sales growth. We're going to create another scenario for this. We're going to select the actual scenario and then click on the Add button. Now let's call the scenario Explosive Growth. And then add a relevant comment in. Now click OK. Now we should enter the values again, but this time we're going to double the existing values. Now click OK. Now we're going to create one more scenario that shows the values if the territories are expanded, but few additional sales are made. Click on Actual and then click Add again. Now we're going to call it Poor Performance and enter a relevant comment. Now once again, enter the new values. For this example, we're just going to add 1 to the existing values. Then click OK. When you've done creating scenarios, click on the Close button. With these scenarios, we created the best case, worst case, and most likely scenario. Now that we have our scenarios created in the Scenario Manager, we want to be able to display the different scenarios so we can examine them. To do this, open the Scenario Manager. Then click on the scenario that you want to view. We're going to view the explosive growth scenario, so click that and then click on Show. If we look at our changing cells, we can see the values have changed. If we change those cells, then the totals are changed in the worksheet as well. If you close the Scenario Manager, the values that are displayed in your worksheet will reflect the scenario that you are viewing. If you want to edit any of the values for any of the scenarios, click on the Edit button inside the Scenario Manager. Click on OK, and then change the values in this list here. And then click OK again. It's easy to know which scenario you're viewing in your spreadsheet if you have the Scenario Manager open. However, if the Scenario Manager isn't open, you could easily get confused as to what scenario you're looking at. To fix this, open the Scenario Manager. Choose the scenario that you created. We're going to choose Explosive Growth. Click on the Edit button. What we're going to do is add a cell to our range of cells in the scenario. This will be a blank cell. To do this, place a comma after your range of cells, and then click on a blank cell in your worksheet, such as B7. Now click OK. Now in your field value list, scroll right to the bottom, and you'll see you can enter a value for B7. But instead of entering a value, enter the name of the scenario. So we are going to enter Explosive Growth. Then click OK. Now when you click on Show, you can easily tell which scenario that you're viewing. You'll also want to do this for each scenario that you've created. Scenarios are specific to a worksheet in a workbook. If you click on a different worksheet in your workbook, you'll see that the scenarios you created for the other worksheet do not appear in your current worksheet. If you want to merge scenarios from one worksheet with scenarios from another worksheet, go to the Scenario Manager. Click the Merge button. Select the worksheet whose scenarios you wish to import into the current worksheet. You can also copy scenarios from other workbooks by selecting the name of the workbook in the book field here. To delete a scenario, go to the Scenario Manager. Select the scenario you want to delete, then click on the Delete button. However, once you click the Delete button, the scenario is deleted. There will not be a warning box or a dialog box asking if you're sure. Once you click the Delete button, the scenario is permanently deleted. When you're creating a summary of scenarios, you can see the scenarios all at once instead of viewing them one at a time using the Scenario Manager. To create the summary, we're going to go to the Scenario Manager, then click on the Summary button. Choose if you want a scenario summary or a scenario pivot table report. We're going to choose Scenario Summary. Now, we select which cell on our worksheet that we want to focus on. Have a look at our worksheet again. We've picked J6 here because it's a grand total of sales. Now click OK. You will then see the Scenario Summary report. The Scenario Summary report opens in a new worksheet. Using this worksheet, you can compare the different outcomes based on different scenarios. If we have a look at the summary report, you'll see that it adds outlining. This allows you to control the data that you want to view. You can also see your current values here and the names of the scenarios up the top that we set up.